Forecast Center. This is a live severe weather update.
Good evening, everybody, from the First Warn Forecast Center. I'm meteorologist Kevin Lawrence, joined with meteorologist Jacob Morris. It's been a busy night, Jacob. We've been covering this all night. Now we're going to share with you all the brand new information, breaking news, in fact, going on, including severe thunderstorms, which have been going on for hours, but now new warnings, including southwest North Dakota. We're going to do things a little bit differently tonight. We're going to have Jacob talk about the storm reports here in just a moment. I'm going to go through the radar. We're going to bounce back and forth here during these break-ins to get you up to date on what's happening to the second. Let me first talk about the severe thunderstorms here in southeast Montana and southwest North Dakota. Bowman, you do have a severe thunderstorm warning. Look at the threat tag. It is considered destructive here for portions of Bowman and Slope counties, including Bowman, Marmarth, and Rame, because of 80-mile-per-hour winds. Could be even higher than that. These straight line winds coming from these thunderstorms currently in Montana, moving into southwest North Dakota. Again, a destructive tag, and that means destructive winds. The possibility for damage does exist. This warning goes until 10:45 Mountain Daylight Time. Let me query this warning here in southeast Montana, including Baker. So that would be Fallon County, Baker, Plevna, under a severe thunderstorm warning. Again, a destructive tag here with hail size perhaps up to about 1.5 inches in diameter. We've got another severe thunderstorm warning that does include the Ekalaka area. This one for Carter County, 70-mile-per-hour winds. But let's go farther toward the north here. Again, Beach, we have a severe thunderstorm warning. We've actually got a couple different warnings here, including the Billings, Golden Valley, McKenzie, Slope, and Stark counties. A large severe thunderstorm warning. Winds may not be as strong here, perhaps around 60 miles per hour, and hail less than 1 inch in diameter. But that's only indicated, though. It's more or less a wind threat, I think, as we go over the next hour or so. And then strong to severe thunderstorms, including Newtown. We've got Burke, Dunn, McKenzie, Montreal, Williams counties, portions thereof with a severe thunderstorm warning. Wind speeds at 70 miles per hour. Considerable damage is a possibility with those storms. And then again around Minot, not a warning in Minot. It's been chopped off here. But again, east of Minot with this first complex of thunderstorms. Again, this is a considerable tag, meaning 70-mile-per-hour winds. Warning here for Bottineau, McHenry, Renville, and Ward counties. We do not have a severe tornado warning for Bottineau County like we did during First News at 10. That is good news. But notice this backwards C shape here between West Hope, Upham, back to the east of Minot. That's usually an indication with the Boeing sediment of very high winds here. And again, that could be what's going on in Bottineau County. Again, let me expand the view here. And again, all these thunderstorms in northern North Dakota, now southwest North Dakota, and east central and southeast Montana. We're going to switch over to meteorologist Jacob Morris for a moment on Max 2. Jacob, what's going on?
Yeah, right now looking at the severe thunderstorm wind gust reports. These happened over the past couple of hours. The strongest one was in Lampert, Montana, as the initial line of storms was forming. 80-mile-per-hour wind gust reported there, and that's what that warning is for in southwest North Dakota and parts of Bowman and Slope counties. So that caliber of damaging wind gust is considered destructive, and that could be going through southwest North Dakota right now. A lot of these other reports came from northern North Dakota, where we've had a couple of lines of damaging storms come through. Mohall with a 74-mile-per-hour reported wind gust, Max Bass 71, Newtown at about 70 miles per hour, Palomro at 68, Minot at the airport 62-mile-per-hour wind gust with that initial round of storms that came through, but a second round of storms is heading towards the Magic City. That is severe. Bow Bells, Tioga, Powers Lake, and Stanley with about 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts as those severe thunderstorms came through. Looking at the large hail reports that these storms produced as well, Powers Lake was hit hard with golf ball sized hail. Columbus with 1.25 inch diameter hail. Quarter size hail in Stanley, Wild Rose, Lignite, Corinth Corinth, which also had crop damage that was reported nearby, and Rolla also with that quarter-size hail. We also had some Sky Spy photos come in, and if you have any photos when it's safe to do so, to take those photos and then submit them to skyspyphotos.com. This was in the Lignite-Flaxton area in Burke County with some sizable hail there, and a video showing that hail coming down in Burke County at about 8 o'clock, and this was the hail, flooding, and strong winds that knocked out power for a period of time in Powers Lake. You can see that hail coming down and bouncing off the ground. And with the storms and the sunset occurring at the same time in Sidney, Montana, quite a red sky here, which was pretty remarkable to see. All right, as we project these storms out into the future, this is at about midnight. These storms could be forming into a continuous line. So right now we have a couple of distinct segments or clusters of storms, but as they form together into possibly one large line, that could allow them to gain even more steam and cause the wind gusts to be even more destructive in some spots, with again the ceiling or the possible upper end for wind gusts tonight 90 miles per hour. And we could especially see that with those bowing segments or the backward C shapes as these storms form into one continuous line and then shift off into eastern North Dakota closer to sunrise tomorrow morning. Kevin, back to you.
Sounds good, Jacob. Thank you very much. Back to Max 1, 2. And I don't know if you got this earlier, but a report of a 72-mile-per-hour wind gust 2 miles northwest of Marmarth here a short while ago.
That's brand new.
Station. Yep. So 72-mile-per-hour wind gusts in Slope County, northwest of Marmarth. I do have the outline here of the greatest potential for flash flooding. Not that every point here within the confines of the green will have flash flooding, but as these thunderstorms continue to converge, those distinct lines become one perhaps into central North Dakota, we do have a chance for flash flooding. Now, these storms are progressive, meaning they're moving through, but there could be some backbuilding or redevelopment over the same areas, therefore causing some flooding. And given that many of us have saturated ground already, that could be problematic. That might not be for another couple of hours. Severe thunderstorm watch continues until 3 a.m. Central Daylight Time, again with the prospects for hail, but it's more of a damaging wind threat, I think, from here on out. And again, just a couple photos, or videos rather. This was Burke County earlier at 8 o'clock, Lignite, Flaxton area, and then this one, Powers Lake, where power was lost earlier, I do believe has since been restored. I want to go back here to the radar and again show you one more time the three distinct clusters of thunderstorms that we've got. Very evident to see all three of these. We got number 1 near Minot, number 2 to the east of Williston, west of Minot, and then that third big one here, again, could be likely approaching the Dickinson area over perhaps the next, let's say, 1/2 hour. So this is the one most concerned about right now, including Slope County and Bowman County with that destructive tag, again, meaning perhaps 80-mile-per-hour winds. Jacob, back to you on Max 2.
Yeah, we got a new report in from Baker, Montana of 79-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So that's right what the warning is for, about 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And that's the ground truth, that these storms are producing wind gusts of 70 to 80 miles per hour. And as Kevin mentioned, in Marmarth, 72-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So this southern segment, the third one in the series, could be the strongest one since it has the most untapped atmosphere to go into as it tracks pretty much along I-94 towards the South Dakota border. All these counties could be impacted by this possibly destructive line of storms. Back to you, Kevin.
All right, thank you very much, Jacob. And again, back to Max 1 here. We just want to reiterate the potential for damage here, as you mentioned with that Baker report, Fallon County here, and that's why we have the potential of 80-mile-per-hour winds. Obviously, rural counties here, Bowman, you got a little ways to go before the storm approaches, but just take notice if you happen to have any loose lawn furniture, anything of that sort, trampolines, they just love these kind of events, right? So be mindful of that. Farther north, the winds may not be as strong, but again, between Beach and Medora right now, I'll query that here. And again, there's so many warnings that we're trying to get the right one to query here. There we go. For Billings, Golden Valley, McKenzie, Slope, and Stark counties. Again, these storms are going to be approaching Dickinson over the next half hour to 45 minutes. The other issue here is how unstable the atmosphere is. Again, between Dickinson and Bowman right now, Bismarck, Mandan, northern South Dakota, Jamestown, we have a very unstable air mass and a lot of moisture. Dew points still are in the 70s with temperatures in the 70s, so primed real estate here for thunderstorms late into the night. I don't think we'll see much development out ahead of this complex of storms. That remains to be seen, but a lot of moisture for these storms to work off of. Jacob, unless you got something else.
One last thing.
Okay,
I wanted to time out that southern line of storms that we're most concerned about as it goes east into the night, tracking at about 40 miles per hour off to the east. And again, trained weather spotters, and we've had surface observations of 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts. These storms mean business. Dickinson at about 11 o'clock coming in, and Bismarck at about 2 to 2:30 a.m. So if you're going to bed, have multiple ways to receive weather alerts. If you have any loose items outside, good idea to bring those inside. Might be a good idea to park the car in the garage in case there's any hail with these storms, although damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour, maybe even higher if these storms can form into one continuous line. That's the primary threat. And again, just wanted to track this out for you, give you some approximate arrival times.
All right, Jacob, that sounds great. And again, just these thunderstorms continue racing into most of western North Dakota, western and northern North Dakota. And again, it's going to take some time before these reach the Bismarck, Mandan area. This is going to be an overnight event here. Again, the major cities to be concerned right now, that second cluster moving into Minot the next, let's say, 45 minutes. Williston, severe weather threat is over. And for Dickinson, you still have that complex of storms. Let's see if that ramps up, and also in Bowman and southeast North Dakota. We'll return you back to regularly scheduled programming for now, but we will be back on. We're going to just monitor this. We'll be with you as long as that severe weather threat is present, not only here, but we're also on social media. Make sure you follow our pages. And of course, we have the information scrolling at the top of your screen. Good idea to have the First Warn weather app as well, so you can track these storms on your own with our First Warn Sky Tracker or radar. We now return you to regularly scheduled programming.
You've been watching a live special report on NBC North Dakota News, your news leader. Warn Forecast Center. This is a live severe weather update.
Hey, good evening to you. I'm meteorologist Kevin Lawrence along with meteorologist Jacob Morse. More tag teaming here on severe weather coverage. Want to get back on the air because Dickinson, now you are under a severe thunderstorm warning with this complex of storms now moving into southwest North Dakota. Dickinson, you've got a severe thunderstorm warning. Hail's not a big threat, but still a chance for some hail, and obviously some flash flooding as well as a possibility with these storms coming through. Let me go back here. I think we're going to have to change that, Jacob, just for a second.
Sorry about that.
Here. That's all right. Okay, let me go back here real quick here. And again, for Dickinson, severe thunderstorm warning, 60, maybe 70 mile per hour winds. This includes portions of Billings, Dunn, Henninger, Slope, and Stark County. So it is a very broad severe thunderstorm warning because this complex is so large, including the cities of Belfield, of course, Dickinson, Gladstone, Halliday, Killdeer, New England, Richardson, and Southard. I'll expand the view here. And again, severe thunderstorms are likely approaching Dickinson. Bowman, we have had severe weather near you for a while now. And again, we have a rather sizable return on radar to the west, northwest of Bowman. That might include hail and perhaps some winds. Considerable threat for 70 mile per hour winds approaching the city of Bowman. Bowman, Slope counties, you've got a severe thunderstorm warning, and that does include, of course, the city of Bowman and Marmarth and Rame as well. Back out here again, Dickinson, we've got that large severe thunderstorm warning, and we've got non-severe thunderstorms over Lake Sakakawea right now, but producing some heavy rain. Back into the Minot area, we don't have a warning in Minot right now, but we do have a large severe thunderstorm warning. Rugby, you've got a severe thunderstorm warning here. This one here for 1-inch diameter hail. This goes until midnight, and 70 mile per hour winds, including Bottineau, McHenry, Pierce, and Rolette. Farther west, Williston, you're with us now, but you do not have a threat for severe weather. Jacob, take it away.
All right. Yeah, let's give it 1 second here.
Okay, all right.
Let's Let's take a look at the Dickinson Skywatch camera. It's going to load up here in a
there in
second.
just
Yep.
a second.
All right, we can
There
go
we
to
go.
Max 2. Talking about the lightning in the distance here because the storms are approaching from the west. We have winds right now gusting out of the north at around 30 miles per hour, but the damaging winds would be coming out of the westerly direction once these storms arrive. It is raining in Minot once again. We have some strong storms approaching the Magic City. They are not severe warned, but they could still have wind gusts of 55 miles per hour and pea-sized hail. And in Bismarck, still it's the waiting game for the severe storms to arrive from the west, but these storms have been producing damaging wind gusts. That's been the primary concern, and that will continue to be the primary threat as we go over the next few hours. 60-mile-per-hour wind gust reported in Amadon, 72-mile-per-hour wind gust reported in Marmarth, and a little earlier, a 79-mile-per-hour wind gust was reported in Baker. We also have seen many more reports of damaging wind gusts as well as hail, especially in northwest and north central North Dakota. There was also a report that came in recently in the Bottineau area of some power poles down. So these storms are going to continue to be tracking off to the east. The southern line of storms is the most concerning, and that's where the atmosphere is still the most unstable. We're still seeing these storms form as they race along off to the east, kind of accelerating as they form into this Boeing segment. So it could be a little bit sooner than what we were projecting earlier for the Bismarck-Mandan area, about 1 or 1:30 for seeing these strong storms move in. And we're seeing them form into possibly one distinct line of storms that we were talking about earlier. You can kind of make that out with this line that I'm going to draw here.
I actually have it on Max 2.
Yeah, you want
real
to
quick,
take it
if
over
you
there?
wanna flip back to that, Mike. That's great. Yeah, you're right, Jacob. That's exactly
You can
what I
see
was
it kind of
thinking.
connecting right around Dickinson.
You can. So Dickinson, you see, yeah, you can see some convergence there and some development there on the southern end of line number 2. If we're calling them 1, 2, and 3 from northeast, central, and back to the southwest here, and this is what we're going to look for to see if all of this becomes one line of thunderstorms as they move toward the east and eventually northeast. You can see the general movement. The line itself is moving east, but the individual clusters are moving toward the northeast right now. That could very well change here as we get into this very moisture-rich environment over south central North Dakota. So we got the thunderstorm warning in Dickinson, but again, Bismarck, not much happening. We're going to have to wait for these storms to approach here. A lot of this is probably going to stay north of Bismarck-Mandan. So what we're going to get clipped with here in the capital city is this complex right here, the one that is, that is actually giving Dickinson the warning right now. And we're going to wait and see what happens here with this number 2 complex of storms here south of Lake Sakakawea approaching Beulah, east of Killdeer. Again, Killdeer, you've got a severe thunderstorm warning as well. But again, that's what we're going to be watching for rather closely. Again, this multi-county warning, including Dickinson, and again, some development on top or near Dickinson right now. So waiting to see if we continue to see this expand in aerial coverage and intensity as the atmosphere is very unstable east into Morton County and, of course, Burleigh County and surrounding counties.
Yeah, let's go back over to Max 2 because I wanted to kind of show the evolution of these storms as they've kind of formed in northwest North Dakota and northeast Montana as we expected them to do so. A little bit later than we were anticipating originally, but these storms have formed and are continuing to track off to the east with the damaging wind threat being the primary concern. And you can see how the storm reports are being added on to the screen as the storms have produced damaging wind gusts of 60 to close to 80 miles per hour, as well as produced some hail up to golf ball size. That's the largest hail report we've gotten so far, and that was in Powers Lake when these storms were a little bit more individual. Now that they've formed into this kind of continuous linear structure, the damaging wind gusts are going to be the primary threat as we go into the night. Now, we cannot rule out maybe a tornado or two forming within a notch in the line as it continues to move off to the east. we can see sometimes a spin-up tornado happen. That's not going to be the primary threat. Straight line wind damage would be the primary concern with these storms, again, forming into that line. And we'll continue to monitor for storm reports coming in. If you have any reports to send our way, submit photos to skyspyphotos.com. Back to you, Kevin.
All right, thank you very much again, Jacob. And again, just tracking these storms out here. Again, we are pretty much Belfield now, but approaching Dickinson, looking at Skywatch. Again, it looks great right now, lightning off to the west of Dickinson. And questionable, these are minimal severe thunderstorm warnings for most. I know we had that destructive tag earlier in Bowman. Again, reports of over 70-mile-per-hour winds. I'm actually live on the air here, Jacob. Brand new extension of that thunderstorm warning for Bowman County and points to the east here. So again, now considering 60-mile-per-hour winds with this particular severe thunderstorm warning. So maybe not as great as these storms were farther toward the west. But again, Mott, Bucyrus under the warning for Adams, Bowman, Henninger, and Slope counties. So again, Bowman still under the warning. Mott, Reeder, Regent, Rame, and Scranton a part of that new severe thunderstorm warning. Again, moving into portions of southwest North Dakota. And again, we can just kind of get the idea what's going on here, as I mentioned, with these thunderstorms beginning to converge into one big line. And again, I'm more concerned, not so much about the hail, Jacob, but the high wind threat and the potential for flash flooding as we have a very, very moisture-rich environment.
Yeah, we can go to Max 2 again quickly here, and I think they went with the 80-mile-per-hour destructive tag to that initial severe thunderstorm warning in parts of Slope and Bowman counties because of the report in Baker, Montana that was that ground truth of close to 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts.
Yeah.
But now that we've seen a couple more reports come in of wind gusts that have been of a little bit less caliber, but can still be damaging. We issue the National Weather Service issues these severe thunderstorm warnings when there's wind gust over 58 miles per hour. That is deemed severe. So recently there was a report of 60-mile-per-hour wind gust in Amadon. Now that's not close to 80, of course, but 60-mile-per-hour winds can still do some damage. And that could be with tree limbs, that could be with loose objects outside. So certainly you don't want to let your guard down even if the storms don't re-intensify back to that destructive category of 80-mile-per-hour plus winds. And I do want to mention that if you have the wireless emergency alerts on your phone, which you should have turned on, you would get a alert, kind of like a tornado warning, if a severe thunderstorm warning is issued for your location with 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So that was a recent update that the National Weather Service did to make sure that people are aware of the destructive nature of these severe thunderstorm warnings in some cases so that people can take shelter when those situations arise. Now, again, we have these severe thunderstorm warnings in place for 60 to 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts right now, which again can still do damage, and you don't want to be near windows, you want to be inside. But these storms could re-intensify once they form into that kind of linear structure all across the state.
Yeah, certainly. If you want to go back to Max 2 for a sec, and we'll just kind of stay on the Dickinson Skywatch. I know there's not a whole lot to show you here, but we do have occasional flashes of lightning. And again, the wind is beginning to pick up from Dickinson State University's perspective here. You can see some of those spruce trees here kind of shaking in the wind there. I know it's dark, but the lower right corner of your screen, some of these taller trees. And again, I mean, we're not going to break on every time there's a wind gust, right? But this whole, because we've got so many people affected by severe thunderstorm warnings, and right here, Jacob, you can see the wind really picking up.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact,
that might have been
that's
like
a lot of dust right here.
The gust front.
Yeah, right here. Yeah, we're going to stay on this for a minute. Look at the center of your screen now, and look at that big plume kind of coming our way. We're going to watch that tree really whip around here in a second. But yeah, the wind is really intensifying in Dickinson. So we're going to stay on this for a minute here and just see how this turns out. That's a big plume of dust. The wind has really intensified. I would estimate at least, just by looking at this, at least 60-mile-per-hour winds, which would constitute that severe thunderstorm warning. The gust itself may not last very long with this gust front, but again, critical to stay weather aware, obviously. And that, if anything, because of flying objects.
Right.
You know, trampolines and lawn furniture and whatever else may be out there, that can happen, right? And so it's just critical that you stay indoors here and hopefully stay safe.
And you probably had the cool gust of wind, that outflow from the storms before the rain started falling. This might still be that outflow. I don't know that there's a whole lot of rain happening right now, at least from the Dickinson State University perspective.
Right. I know it looks like there's more on the radar, but again, some of it's developing on top, and the location of Dickinson too, in between radars, between Glasgow, Minot, and Bismarck, and so on.
And this could also be some downburst winds.
Could
so
be.
You have a lot of rain coming down from these storms, maybe some small to medium-sized hail, and that all hits the ground and spreads out in all directions. The wind does, and that delivers those damaging wind gusts. Now, we want to just monitor the velocity mode on radar too. It's pretty cluttered, but we could still see something occasionally.
Pretty messy.
Yeah.
Show
up in terms of a downburst or something like that.
Yep, certainly. It's really hard to detect on this. Again, this is storm relative too, but I mean, we'll keep an eye on this here, obviously. But let me go back here.
And we're sampling very far up in the storm.
That's the problem because of the Bismarck radar.
From the Bismarck radar.
It's just really tough to make that out. But again, so just to reiterate before we let you go, we'll be back though. But Minot. No warning right now. Rugby, you do have a warning. Lots of lightning. Again, that severe thunderstorm warning here, which includes Bottineau, McHenry, Pierce, and Rolette counties. Primary threat wind gusts upwards of 60, maybe 70 miles per hour. And again, the other warning, a couple warnings here, but in southwest North Dakota. So as you know, you can tell, let me put emotion on this. These storms, I'm going to turn lightning off because there's just so much lightning. These storms are marching toward the east-northeast here, and questionable how much we're going to have in Bismarck-Mandan. I just simply don't have the answer because we know that they're on the way, but most of this might stay north. It all depends on what's happening like in Bowman County, and the southern periphery of this if it intensifies. There's a lot of moisture available. I think these storms are going to sustain themselves here. Moisture-rich environment. All the ingredients are present. Doesn't guarantee anything because we might see some of this lifting a bit farther toward the north, but we get the idea that the whole line's moving east, individual cells moving more in a northeasterly direction. Jacob, if you've got anything else, we'll probably wrap it up for now, but we'll be back after a while. What do you say?
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Okay, sounds good. All right, well, thanks for sticking with us once again here. We don't want to bore you too much with any information that's not new, so we'll be back when we get some new information here. And of course, our motto is always to prepare you, not scare you. It does thunder in North Dakota, after all, you know, so this is not out of the ordinary, but we just want to keep you weather alert. Thanks for joining us.
You've been watching a live special report on NBC North Dakota News, your news leader.
Warn Forecast Center. This is a live severe weather update.
Good morning, everybody. Meteorologist Kevin Lawrence with you here at 12:50 Central Time. Meteorologist Jacob Morris here compiling some information. He's going to be covering that in just a minute. I want to kind of get you started and just show you the enhanced satellite imagery, then we'll get into the radar. But what we're looking at here is from way out in outer space of the cloud top temperatures, and where you see those vivid colors and you can make out those darker reds, very high cumulonimbus clouds towering into our atmosphere here. Troposphere is loaded with a very high cloud cover here, indicative of the strength of these thunderstorms advancing through North Dakota. And again, we've got a lot going on. We've talked earlier about a potential for the three different segments of thunderstorms making a big long line, and that has indeed happened here late in the night, middle of the night, as we've been talking about really since yesterday morning. Let's talk about what's happening here, and we'll zoom in and talk about each and every region here. And again, you can really make out the storms as they approach the Bismarck-Mandan area. No escaping this. We are going to have some thunderstorms. I question the severity. Fortunately, I don't think these are going to be real severe. I don't foresee a lot of hail, small hail, pea-size hail. I don't see a strong indication with this linear structure of anything much more than that. I do think we'll have some hail, and then wind speeds maybe 60 miles per hour. So it's not as intense as I was thinking it was going to be a couple of hours ago, but you know what? I am just fine with that. As far as the warnings are concerned here, again, you can kind of see the query. Dunn, Grant, Mercer, Morton, Oliver counties, Stark County with a severe thunderstorm warning until 1:15, including several different cities here. And again, as you can see, New Salem getting in on that rain right now, eventually moving its way quickly now, Sweetbriar Lake, Almont, and then into Mandan and Bismarck over probably about the next half hour. On the southern periphery of this, we've got thunderstorms here right on the South Dakota line into North Dakota with Mott, severe thunderstorm warning, Elgin as well. Again, hail about pea size or thereabouts with wind roughly 60 miles per hour. So fortunately not as strong as it could be. There is a tornado warning, not so much in our viewing area, but for Benson County, including Maddox, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. It is radar indicated. And again, here in the middle of the night, these nocturnal events are really, really hard to make out. But just looking at a little bit of a kind of a signature on the velocity of a couplet that is suggesting possible rotation with that system there in Benson County. So a tornado warning there until 1 o'clock. That's only the next 7 minutes or so. But again, beyond this line of thunderstorms, we've got heavy rain continuing back south of Williston, raining there lightly. No more threat of severe weather. Even Minot, the threat for severe is over. Dickinson as well, with the exception of perhaps some high wind, still a possibility. It's windy in Dickinson right now. Some of the higher winds, I think, could be back behind the initial line of thunderstorms, Jacob.
Yeah, exactly. We got a report from Manning of that where there was 69-mile-an-hour wind gust after the initial line of storms came through. And if you want to take up Max 2, we've got the Bismarck Skywatch camera up. It's hard to make out the clouds, but there are a steady stream of clouds coming in from the south and southeast, and that is bringing in all the instability and the moisture for these storms to continue to sustain themselves even though we're well after sunset. The technical term is a low-level jet in the lower layers of the atmosphere that's pulling in the moisture from the Gulf all the way up here into the northern plains, and the storms have enough wind shear as well to continue to produce some damaging wind gust, although what we're seeing is not a bowing segment like we had with those 3 individual lines. It's more so one linear structure of storms. Nonetheless, still they've produced some impressive wind gust, and Baker, Montana with the strongest wind gust thus far, close to 80 miles per hour. Marmarth, 72-mile-per-hour wind gust. Manning, 69-mile-per-hour wind gust, and that was after the initial line of thunderstorms. There was no lightning in the area at the time of that report. Initially, there was a report of 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Manning when the thunderstorms came through, but sometimes you can get those strong winds back behind the main line of heavy rain and frequent lightning. Sometimes that's called a wake low or some sort of down draft or situation behind again, that main line of storms. New England, 66-mile-an-hour wind gust. Grassy Butte, 65. Amadon, 64. Buffalo Springs, 63-mile-an-hour wind gust. 62-mile-an-hour wind gust as the storms rolled through Dickinson as well as Holiday. And in Leffer, we had a 61-mile-an-hour wind gust. As we look at the northern line of storms, those were severe earlier this evening and again produced wind gusts between 60 and 75 miles per hour. Those storms are now the ones that are producing some gusty winds around Devil's Lake and that tornado warning in Benson County.
There we go. There we go. Click to S2, by the way. But go back to Max 1 if you can.
This was damage earlier in the day. We'll get back to that in a little bit.
Yep.
Got the severe thunderstorm warning for Burleigh County.
Yep. So now we have a severe thunderstorm warning here for Burleigh, Kidder, McLean, Morton, and Oliver counties. And of course, in alphabetical order, including Apple Creek, Bismarck, Center, Lincoln, Mandan, New Salem, Steele, and Wilton. Again, I'm happy to report that the hail is not severe hail criteria. That would be 1 inch or more in diameter. You see in that red box. Wind speed, though, 58 plus. So we're talking 60. We're threshold, very minor threshold of a severe thunderstorm warning, but worthy of being issued a warning simply because there could be higher gusts, especially as this storm continues moving through the metro. So again, this is quickly approaching. This is what we've been waiting for. Just checking my phone here.
Well, we were talking about how it would probably be for a 60-mile-an-hour
Yes.
wind speed for the warning, and that is what they issued it for. And
Yes, that's
we
correct.
also talked about how once we got to this point in the night, the storms would not likely be producing large hail. That's more of a threat when storms are individual. Once they're in a long line or complex of storms like this, the damaging wind threat is going to be the primary risk. And we're thankful that it's not that 80 or 90 mile an hour upper echelon
Absolutely.
category that
We don't want
we
that.
had the potential of having. And of course, there was some of those 70 plus mile an hour wind gust reports in parts of eastern Montana and western North Dakota. But at this point, storms probably capable of producing about 60 mile an hour wind gusts, which can still do damage. That's why severe thunderstorm warnings are issued, and you want to take them seriously, being inside and away from windows, and things can be blown around, tree branches can be knocked down, stuff like that.
That's so true. How many times have we seen trampolines and such blowing around on a fall day when it's 40, 45 mile an hour winds, right? Not associated with thunderstorms. So again, a lot of lightning, vivid lightning back toward Dickinson here over the past hour or so. But these storms are approaching Mandan and Bismarck right now. I think we're talking just imminent here in Mandan within the next few minutes, and Bismarck probably by 1:10 or so. So probably about 10 more minutes. Again, all thunderstorms produce lightning, and let me tell you, these storms have been wicked when it comes to lightning. There may not be much right now. I know we have a lot of moisture hanging in the air in Bismarck. I haven't seen much in the way of lightning. I know there are some lightning strikes, but I think the wind's going to start picking up in the capital city here pretty quick. But I am happy to report that this is nothing like when we were covering storms in the middle of the night in 2018. I'll never forget that. June of 2018, we had 80 some mile an hour winds. Rain coming in our studio, the roof was leaking. I don't foresee that, but there is going to be a period of heavy rain moving through here. But I think this is not as severe as June 20th or June 27th.
Correct. I was just about to say, not the derecho caliber.
Correct.
That we had about a month and a half, 2 months ago. If you want to take up Max 2 here, you were mentioning 110, and that's exactly what the computer says too, Kevin. So 1:09 a.m. for Bismarck.
That's right.
So projecting out the storms here with the tracks as they go off to the east at about 50 miles an hour. You can see a few of these towns listed here, and we could still see again 50 to maybe up to 70 mile an hour gust with these storms as they shift off to the east. Now that they're all in one line like this, it's actually harder for them to bow out and create those backward C shapes that can be identified as having the higher end 70, 80, 90 mile an hour wind gusts. Now, nonetheless, when we look inside the storm with the velocity product, you can see how the initial line of storms is where that green starts and how that's advancing towards Bismarck. But behind that, to the west of Center and Sweetbriar Lake around Glen Olin, where those blues are, that's actually higher wind speeds. So there might be a period of gusty winds as the rain begins in your location with the thunder and lightning. But then the strongest winds might come as the rain is winding down or maybe even completely ending. So possibly an extended period of gusty winds, strong winds between 40 and 60 miles per hour as these storms race through south central North Dakota. When storms are, again, in this line like this, sometimes the far southern extent can be a little bit interesting to watch in terms of if there's any rotation that can form there, because we're not completely out of the woods for a tornado risk. There was that tornado warning in Benson County earlier, which is up close to the Maddock and Devil's Lake area. That has since been canceled, but you can see how we've had a steady stream of storm reports come in with these storms as they've been advancing east, especially with that southern line of storms recently producing damaging wind gusts as it's tracked off to the east.
Stay on this, Jacob,
Kevin, yeah.
because it's 1 o'clock. It's the reboot hour on one of our systems, so we're stuck on your system for the time being.
I
so
see.
Just drive the train here.
Sounds good. Glad we were able to load up both weather graphics computers then.
It's been great. It has been good. It's really helped a lot.
Appreciate all the tag team effort here, yeah.
Yeah.
And all the people behind the scenes that have been staying up late with us.
Yeah, we appreciate Master Control
Yep.
and the control room and everybody, Chris and Mike and everyone. But anyway, the storms are approaching Bismarck, Mandan right now. You can see that here, and not much we can do though, other than show radar at this point. But again, storms are moving through, and they're barely severe, but I don't want to discount that. But again, we are here because anything could happen at any time, right? I mean, so we want to be cautious and not discount these storms, because a severe thunderstorm warning is in effect here. But again, winds, we're guessing probably close to 60 miles per hour or thereabouts.
Well, the objects like a camper trailer can be flipped over with winds of that caliber. I think at the time of this happening, there was a 66-mile-an-hour wind gust near Ray. This was near the Williams-Mountrail County line at 10:40 p.m. The Mountrail County emergency manager gave us this photo. So we had a couple of reports of damage. There was some power poles down in Botno. Powers Lake was without power for a period of time. And then we did have some of these hail reports. Fortunately, we didn't get up to the 2 to 3 inch diameter hail that was possible if the storms were individual earlier this evening. These reports were largely from earlier this evening, but Powers Lake had a golf ball sized hail. That was the largest report received. And since then, it's been all about the damaging wind gust reports. And actually, when the line was initially forming in southeast Montana and then tracking into southwest North Dakota, that's when the wind gusts were strongest. I was a little concerned that as the line formed into one consistent one, instead of 3 individual ones, the wind gusts would ramp up even further. But in fact, the storms kind of weakened a bit.
Can you go to our Bismarck Skywatch?
Now we're
It'll be a
only
little
seeing
clunky, I know.
about 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. But yeah, you can see those clouds moving pretty quickly there.
Now you
Right
got the
overhead.
outflow coming in, so
Yep.
we've got that strong
Because
south
this is
wind.
looking west. You look at the
Oh,
dirt
we got
there.
dust. Look at the plume of dust here. We'll stay on this.
Yep.
So this is the gust front here, right there. You're pointing that out. It's great. So, I mean,
And then the clouds
anything
racing
like
by.
that can obviously produce damage, and who knows what the wind speed is right there. But this is coming through Mandan right now in Morton County. And you can see the bridge, so the
Yeah, look at
cameras
all
in
the
Burley
dust being
County.
picked
It's
up. Wow.
Bismarck State College, but again, the wind speeds are picking up here. You could really make out the clouds, so the whole gust front is obviously coming in from the northwest here. So, wow, we've been encouraging everybody to just make sure lawn furniture is secured and things like that, because 60-mile-per-hour wind is strong, and now we see the wind crossing over the river, and right now approaching Bismarck State College.
Yeah, just looking at the velocity product inside the storm, and along that initial leading edge, you can see how there's been a little bit of an enhancement of those colors going from greens to blues, indicating the stronger winds. But I'll go back to the Skywatch camera here, taking a live look outside, and you can see the trees in the foreground rustling around a lot more.
Yep, sure.
Dust.
Can. Look at all the dust being picked
Yep.
up, blown around.
Waiting for some observations from the Mandan Airport and then the Bismarck Airport eventually.
We can take Max 2 again. We'll come back to that here in a couple of minutes, but just want to show you some of the wind gusts here. Again, Bismarck not recording yet, but still in the past few minutes, winds gusting over 35 miles per hour with in Dickinson. So it is windy back post-storm here. So again, something worth keeping in mind, that these winds will continue beyond the initial line of storms themselves. Now, again, right now into the Bismarck-Mandan area, we do have this gust front moving through. We got the rain shield moving through. Severe thunderstorm warning until 2 o'clock with pea-size hail and wind speed estimated to be 60 miles per hour. Hard to say, might be a little bit higher. And again, this is radar indicated. So Burley County, Bismarck, under that severe thunderstorm warning. Morton County too, so Mandan, and Kidder, McLean, and Oliver counties as well. So again, this is approaching here, and at times vivid lightning, although not as much as what we had earlier. But the storms themselves, there's still a lot of available energy in the atmosphere to tap into. So, an hour ago we didn't know the severity in the Bismarck-Mandan area, so we wanted to be here to be safe, just in case it turned out to be something like the derecho, in July or June. But now we see the rain coming down
Yeah,
here.
if we want to go back to Max 2, we've got the raindrops in the lens of the camera, and you can even see the rain like curtains coming down in the lights on the bottom right. I'm going to pan the camera down so you can see the kind of sheets of rain there. Oop, that was too far. But you get the idea that rain is coming down pretty hard.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, exactly. So,
and it's obviously blowing sideways there pretty much with the gusty winds. We've seen, I've had people comment on my page about how strong the winds were in Dickinson or Beulah, some other parts of southwest North Dakota, so that's shifting right through. You don't want to discount a severe thunderstorm warning, even if it's at the base level of 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. That's still, again, something that can do some damage.
It certainly can. And Heidi, I'll answer you right now, live on the air. Meteorologist Heidi Rosta, she's waking up right now and wants to know if she should rush in here because she works mornings, right? No, you're fine. We got this for a little bit. So we're good to go.
I think this is
we don't
one
cross
of the later
over.
times
we
that
don't
we've
cross over
stayed
very
into
often.
the night.
The weather team dedicated, that's for sure, and that's what makes this great. Is weather is our career, but it's also our hobby. So
hey,
yes, we're tired.
It's past my birthday now.
It's past your birthday. I know. I'm technically on a vacation right now. I'm gone for a week, so I should
Friday.
be getting my beauty rest right now. But I don't think people care, right? We care about the weather. That's all that matters right now. And again, that rain moving through Mandan, moving through Bismarck. You can see it earlier. We'll show it again in our Skywatch camera. Pea-sized hail, again, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and there's going to be a period of heavy rain here. I'm not just looking at the nature of this initial band. It's actually starting to fan out here a little bit.
You want to go back to Max 1?
Yeah, you got it loaded up there. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't know you
you're
were
fine.
on that. Okay, so you can kind of see it moving through here pretty much in real time. Rain is coming down pretty heavily here, so
got a bit of a southeasterly trajectory now.
It does, and some of the higher returns are now, again, as we would expect, on the very southern end of this line. So, just Lemon's not technically in the warning in South Dakota, but in North Dakota, Elgin, we have the warning. So we continue with Adams, Grant, Hettinger, and Sioux County. But you see those darker reds, some of the greater returns. That's where there's probably a higher chance for some hail, or at least very heavy rain. I do believe we will see perhaps some hail in the Bismarck-Mandan area. I hope not. But again, what is concerning now, let's just kind of look at this. If we actually begin to, I'm going to turn that off for a second. If we kind of start to see a little bit of some of these higher returns, I got to click on the right button here. You see some of those reds kind of moving toward the northeast. So the initial line's coming in, but then we might get a few more periods of heavier rain that might go on for a while. And if that continues, and it's moving along pretty good, but if we continue to see some redevelopment, that's where we could get some localized flooding and perhaps some flash flooding. That's what we want to kind of make sure that we prepare people for.
Kind of the back building of the storms that might happen, so you can have storms that form behind that initial line. If there's enough moisture coming up from the south and enough lift, which there is, for more storms to form back to the west.
Right, and see that this is getting a little bit more interesting now. We'll see how this pans out.
Rotation or different directions of the storms. You have the flow coming up from the south. That's forming new storms closer to the South Dakota border, but then that initial line already has the momentum to go east or southeast around Bismarck.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, look at the look post line here. You got in Elgin, and
so like it'll fill in probably around Glen Owen and Sweetbriar Lake.
Some of those heavier returns though are moving northeast. So the initial gust front itself is moving toward the southeast. So northwest winds at the surface, but you got your higher returns going northeast. So the whole point to that is we could be in for a period of heavy rain in the metro or nearby for the next at least half hour. So we're going to have to wait and see. It's raining pretty heavily now. We can see it.
Yeah, we can go back to Max 2 here. Some frequent lightning as well. Not worried about a tornado or anything in the Bismarck-Mandan area or in Burleigh or Morton County. If there were to be a spin-up tornado, it might happen along that southern flank of the line closer to the South Dakota border. But now that we're past midnight, the threat for any spin-up tornado is fairly low. It's more of the heavy rain, gusty winds, and some flooding threat, because think of how humid it was today. the atmosphere has to wring out all that moisture essentially with this disturbance
That's right.
moving through. And that's a lot of available moisture for the atmosphere to tap into.
And your wife just texted and said very, very heavy rain, but no hail. And
Good to hear.
And she's thankful that I'm on the air and wants to know where you are. Oh, wait, just kidding. All right, that part's a joke. Okay, so glad we have our Sky Spies out there.
I
right?
know,
Your
right?
wife's a Sky Spy. We love
Oh,
that.
she texted me too. Yep.
Good. All right. Hopefully she said the same thing.
Yep, no hail.
So again, we do see some periods of heavy rain forming with this here, and you can really make it out here back to the southwest with that warning. I'm going to turn the queries back on here and start from the south and go back toward the north here. And thanks for bearing with us. I mean, normally we wouldn't just do this, but we're here and we wanted to make sure that these larger population centers, that this wasn't going to be worse than it really is. It's been a long, long day. And so we want to make sure that we
can
don't
go
just
back
ramble on.
to Max 1.
Yeah, go back to Max 1 here. And again, Adams, Grant, Hettinger, and Sioux counties with that severe thunderstorm warning, including Cannonball, Carson, Elgin, Mott, New, Leipzig, and Raleigh. Let's go north
Looks
from
like
there.
it was extended towards Linton too.
So right here.
So giving like
brand
advanced notice that this line of storms is going to come through
Exactly.
no matter what.
No matter what. So it's evident just by looking at the radar returns here how this is going to go, right? And so again, with this new warning here, which is now for Emmons County, Grant, Morton, and Sioux. And again, the hail size is just not going to be a problem right now. Again, maybe pea-size hail and around 60-mile-per-hour winds. I am thankful. I would have thought a couple of hours ago I would be concerned about 80-mile-per-hour winds.
Certainly.
You know, I'm not going to discount that. I would have really expected the winds to be higher. I'm very thankful that they're not, and I'm most thankful that we don't have a lot of large and damaging hail. Really thankful for that. Just got a new roof, so I don't want that anyway. Okay, so anyway, looking back toward Devil's Lake, some very heavy rain. Minot, threat for severe weather is over, but still a big big chunk of rain still headed your way, maybe another quarter to a half of an inch. Williston, the showers are beginning to dissipate here and pretty much done with this event. And again, Dickinson as well, things are beginning to dry out here. But the Bismarck-Mandan area going to be in the rain here for a while, and at times could be periods of heavy rain.
And we're going to go back to Max 2 here, showing kind of the past 4 hours to see how we had those 3 individual Boeing segments or clusters of storms. And then at around midnight or 12:30 in the morning, all of them formed into that one continuous line of storms oriented from the northeast to the southwest. And that actually somewhat weakened them, although now with these last few radar scans, there is a little bit of a sign of some intensification moving to the southeast, as there could be some more Boeing segments developing. You can kind of see with the last couple of scans how the storms accelerated around the Bismarck area. And if we go into the velocity product, looking inside the storm at that wind speed, so the greens are winds blowing towards the radar site in Bismarck. So all of these are very strong westerly winds. The reds are going to be popping up east of the radar site as the storms move in that direction. Nonetheless, you can see how you've gotten a little bit of an intensification in those wind gusts. So all that to say, we're probably still going to have 60, maybe 70-mile-an-hour winds as these storms continue east of the Missouri River.
I think that's a very good possibility, right?
Like, these aren't going to weaken just like that in the next hour. These storms are still likely to be severe, maybe not to the caliber of 80 or 90-mile-an-hour winds as they go into the James and Red River valleys. I want to go back to turning on the warnings here, and you can see that now, once again, pretty much the entire line is warned from Devil's Lake down to the South Dakota border for 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So if you're in the Jamestown area, you're still probably going to get some gusty winds. Now, we'll watch closely to see if this kind of segment right here bulges out any more. That would be maybe something of concern as that goes off to the east towards Napoleon, Steele, Woodworth, eventually Gackle and Jamestown. And sometimes when you have this little kind of backward C-shaped segment, you can get a little bit of a rotation in the storms to form some sort of spin up. We'll watch that closely, but damaging winds would still be the primary threat as we go through the rest of the night. And it sometimes surprises people that storms can still be severe at this point at the night, but you have nocturnal threats that happen when that low-level jet, the moisture coming in from the south, continues to supply these storms with fresh moisture and instability. You go back to Max 1.
Yeah, I'll go back to Max 1 just for a second to show you the severe weather outlook here for Friday. Now, I know it says marginal, or well, it's in the marginal isolated severe threat for Bismarck, Mandan. That's starting in a couple of hours, so it doesn't mean right now. But for the daytime period here Friday, level 2 from Jamestown through the Red River Valley into most of Minnesota. You know, we always talk about the levels, whether 1, 2, 3. Today we were at level 3, numerous severe storms. So it's all shifting toward the east, and after sunrise, we're going to a marginal threat, meaning there's still a chance for thunderstorms, but the odds for severe weather not as great as what we have right now. So the atmosphere is still very unstable. Those of you watching us in Bismarck, Mandan, some heavy rain, some vivid lightning, but still a lot of available energy to work with in the atmosphere to the east of Bismarck. The 83 corridor, of course, the Jamestown as well. But in this particular area, we do have a lot of what's called convective available potential energy. A lot of energy in the atmosphere stored up here, surface base that is going, not only that, but we've got dew points in the 70s. We have all the ingredients to keep these thunderstorms going, as Jacob mentioned here, where they're not going to weaken for a while. They might pulse too, where they weaken a little bit, then they re-intensify that fashion. But for now, I'm thankful that these storms are not as strong as they could be, because in this environment, they could have been a lot worse. Having said that, we still want to be cautious because we're looking at the potential for severe wind gusts still continuing on.
Yeah, let's go back to Max 2 here. And I think what's kind of happening is these storms were pretty intense when they were these 3 individual clusters or Boeing segments. Now that they've formed into this one linear line of storms, they have to readjust or figure out where the greatest instability is or the greatest shear is for the storms to intensify, or a segment of the line to turn stronger or more severe. And I think that might be happening to the east of Bismarck now. There's even a little bit of a hook or kind of a vortice spinning up near Wing.
You can see that actually.
So I was mentioning this about 5 minutes ago, how on the edges of these bulging segments or Boeing segments, the northern and southern peripheries of them, you can get a possible spin-up tornado within these massive lines of storms, very long distance that they go over. But again, very small scale hook there that caught my eye. And if we look inside the storm at the velocity, you can kind of pick up, it's a little cluttered, but the winds blowing towards the radar site and then away from the radar site. And that would be that rotation that could form a spin-up tornado around the Wing area. No tornado warning in place, but I just wanted to give you a fair warning that something could pop up, especially once you have somewhat of that like hook signature on radar like that. Now, we did get a storm report in from the Bismarck area of some wind gusts, so we can figure out what the ground truth was for these storms. 63 miles per hour. So even exceeding what the warning was for. So 63 mile an hour wind gust, ground truth.
Where was that airport?
I am not sure. Let me do some researching on that. We can go back to, Max 1.
Max 1 here briefly. And again, with that rain continuing in Bisman and gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour, again, as these storms are moving through. Pretty heavy rain as well. So could be some localized street flooding. And just considering the fact that we've got a lot of moisture already in the ground from our recent rain episodes here, so higher probabilities of seeing some of that run off versus soak in. So just keep that in mind.
We can hop back to Max 2 briefly, and that 63 mile an hour wind gust report was observed 6 miles north of Bismarck at a Mesonet station. So personal weather station, I believe, or some sort of observation that was official enough for it to be classified under the Weather Service's storm reports. 6 miles north of downtown Bismarck. That's how those distances are measured, by the way. Anyways, going back to the current radar, we can see again those storms marching through south central North Dakota, and that hook that really catches your eye around Wing. Now, it could just be reabsorbed back into the line of storms and not turn into anything, but something to bear watching, as you can kind of pick out a couple of those Boeing segments starting to form. So maybe instead of the entire line having about 50 or 60 mile an hour wind gust, there could be certain segments of it that are more intense, up to 70 mile an hour wind gust, as they continue to track east towards southeastern North Dakota. You can go back to...
Yep, we're there.
Next. Yep, okay, perfect.
And just looking at some of the lightning strikes here, with how many strikes we have within this window that we see, 365 strikes over the past 5 minutes.
It's impressive.
Right? So that's a lot. There's a lot going on here, both positive and negative strikes here. And again, if you expand the view, there's a lot of lightning associated with these. So roughly 500 strikes, as it does some recalculating or thereabouts, but just kind of gives you an idea. And even in the Bismarck-Mandan area, we'll kind of zoom down here on that. Not as many strikes, but again, around maybe 40 or so in this window that you see on your TV screen. So earlier we had much more vivid lightning, so the lightning intensity has backed off quite a bit over the past couple of hours.
Certainly quite a light show, though. Still, if we want to go back to Max 2 and show the Bismarck Skywatch camera, watch, of course, we won't get any lightning strikes right now. Though, never fails that way, right?
That's right.
But there's one. 62 mile an hour gust. I think that's from the airport data, right? On the Skywatch camera?
Correct.
Yeah, so 62 mile an hour gust at the airport, which is pretty impressive. Ooh, that was a pretty bright flash there. So still vivid lightning as these storms continue. Going to be a period of heavy rain for probably another 30 minutes or so. We still could have those gusty winds back behind the initial line of storms that has already cleared Bismarck now. You can still see on the velocity product how there's some of those stronger wind gusts back towards Sweetbriar Lake and centering Glen Ullin. This line is continuing to march east through Burleigh County. We'll be in Kidder County pretty soon, and then eventually down the line towards Jamestown. I'm going to put a track on them for you to give you some approximate arrival times. These storms continuing to move east at about 60 miles an hour, so I'll have to adjust that a little bit. You might want to subtract 20 minutes or so from these arrival times, but you can get the idea that about 2:30 or so in Jamestown, so about an hour from now. Linton, these storms would be in your neck of the woods around 1:45 or 2 a.m., maybe up as late as 2:15. But you are in that warning as of now, just to give you advance notice of the possibility of 60 mile an hour wind gusts once the storms arrive. But like we've been mentioning, these storms will probably still be severe even as they go into the James River Valley into the early morning hours, and maybe even severe close to sunrise in the Red River Valley tomorrow morning, Kevin.
Yeah, that's true, right? And the thing is, we can go back to Max 2 here. The hail threat might ramp up toward eastern North Dakota, but having a hard time finding on the hail algorithm here much. Maybe a little bit south of Harvey on 3, there could be some hail, but this is really good news because we don't want to see hail anyway. I know we had a lot of crop damage, some crop loss earlier this evening, yesterday evening in Divide County, northwest North Dakota, but northeast of Regan, perhaps a little bit of hail as well. I think these storms in general are producing some hail, but not a lot. That's not really the main event here for tonight, the remainder of the overnight time frame here with these thunderstorms. It's more or less the gusty winds and the periods of heavy rain. I'll put this back in motion again as these storms are advancing through the Bismarck-Mandan area and surrounding areas. Of course, a lot more lightning into northern Burleigh County, as you can see here. I'm going to actually turn the lightning off because there's just so much. But again, with these warnings here, Wing again with some heavy rain, and Linton with a severe thunderstorm warning, Emmons County, Sioux County as well. Well, Jacob, I don't know if there's much more we can do here other than the fact that we don't see anything that is alarming to us outside of the near 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Unless you see something there of interest, we can probably wrap this up here pretty quick.
I was just gonna look at the velocity product one more time. If we can go back to max 2, we can see around wing you still have that little bit of that hook or curlicue shape. It's trying to wrap around itself towards Tuttle. And on the velocity product, there is still some rotation there. Actually has picked up a little bit over the past couple of scans.
And no indication that is making contact with the ground.
Correct.
A lot of this is a lot.
This is up at cloud level. But once those reds and greens get closer to each other and get a little brighter, that rotation might be getting a little bit more concentrated at cloud level. So we'll continue to watch it, and we can come back on if something is going to be tornadic, but that's not going to be the primary concern as we go over the next couple of hours. It's still going to be the damaging winds of about 60 miles an hour. They could intensify a bit more now that they're a bit more organized into possibly 70-mile-an-hour gusts, Kevin.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm showing my weather station at home in Bismarck at 4400s. So again, we're approaching about a half of an inch of rain so far with these storms. And again, looks like some of the higher returns going into northern Burleigh County, Kidder County as well. But it looks like the rain's going to continue in Bisman for, I would say, at least the next hour, because you see some more development all the way back into western Morton County. And then you see this, what's southwest of Bismarck, moving toward the northeast. It might just miss Bismarck, but you get the idea, perhaps, that we're still going to see some of that rain. And just like we've had here back toward north, well, Lake Sakakawea area.
When you take max 1.
Yeah, let me show you some lightning here too. I got to turn it back on, sorry. There we go. Okay, so there's still some lightning strikes back around Newtown, so it's still some development there. But Washburn, a lot of lightning, Wilton area, and again Bismarck within this southern end of this storm complex in Grant County. We do continue to see quite a bit of lightning strikes. If you got something too, I think, Jacob, you said on max 2?
No, I'm good for now. Yep.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here for the time being, unless something crazy happens here in the middle of the night. Meteorologist Heidi Arosta is going to be coming in here shortly, here in the middle of the night. Don't really see anything too alarming, but we'll make sure to keep you posted on social media and right here on the air if need be. We decided to go on 4 station here, being the middle of the night, so I know you folks watching in Williston, you don't really have much of a threat, but might want to see the radar anyway. And again, our goal here is just to keep you informed and let you know that that we're here for you in the event that something severe does indeed happen outside of these warnings.
And it did verify as being severe in the Bismarck-Mandan area with 63-mile-an-hour wind gust north of town, the 62-mile-an-hour wind gust at the airport, and there was a ham radio operator that had a 68-mile-an-hour wind gust at his outdoor weather station just off East Divide Avenue.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, well
So
that could down some branches.
Certainly,
and trees,
yeah, once you get close to that 70-mile-an-hour threshold.
Very, very true. So also a note of thanks to the staff here at the station, the studio, and you, Jacob, and of course all the technical folks behind the scenes. And not only that, but all of our Sky Spies and all the reports and all the social media coverage and the comments, and we just appreciate everyone's interactivity with that. And it's been a long day, but we were here for you, and we are thankful that you stuck with us. We really appreciate that. Want to wish everybody a happy Friday morning. And again, Jacob, a belated happy birthday. And I'm going to try to go on vacation now. So we're not done yet with this until the last drop falls, perhaps, as far as severe weather, but we aren't going to stay on the air nonstop for that. So again, everybody, thank you very much for watching. We really appreciate it. Thanks for staying tuned.
You've been watching a live special report on NBC North Dakota News, your news leader.